So recently I've hit kind of a creative wall when it comes to making content, whether that be videos here on YouTube or writing or etc. Just any kind of content that I can come up with. I don't have any ideas for, even though there are things I want to talk about. I just can't think of a way to get them across in words through this to you. So I'm just going to take this video as a little bit of an opportunity to talk about myself. As some of you may know, I'm really into music. I play flute, I play keyboard, percussion instruments. I have like 800 songs plus in my favorites playlist on Spotify. That may sound like a lot to some people, and that may sound like not a lot to other people, and to those that it sounds like not a lot, I have to say, how do you memorize lyrics to songs? Teach me your ways, please. However, I'm also very into collecting things. I started a snow globe collection of my own volition when I was 3 by pointing at the snow globes in Disney, and I brought home like 8 of them, and now I have a collection of like 800 snow globes that's just on a bookshelf in the other room over there. And as cute as this all may sound, I've combined my love of music and my love of collecting, and I wanted to take this opportunity to, I guess, just show you my vinyl collection. Even though it's still small and amateuristic in a way, I do have some things that I think are pretty cool that I just wanted to highlight in this video. I first unearthed one of my father's old record players that was in, actually, this console over here that record is currently on top of, and my turntable is currently on top of. There used to be another turntable that was like down there a little bit, kind of in the cabinet. I found that and started playing some of my dad's old records. My parents have all of these records from the 70s, and that's when they grew up, and it's the music that they liked, and they may not love it now, but they loved it at one point enough to buy a record of it. So that's kind of what got me into the whole thinking that it was a good idea to collect records thing. So without further ado, let me show you some of the music that I own and why I think it's neat. The first record that I actually ever physically bought was a recording by the New York Philharmonic of Leonard Bernstein's first 2 symphonies, and I have that over in there, but I know that most people aren't here to see classical music vinyls, of which I have several. So I guess the first current vinyl that I myself purchased was Panic at the Disco's Too Weird to Live, Too Rare to Die. I do just have like the black normal LP, it's not like the paint splattered one, but it's the first record that I bought with my own money to listen to on my record player when I had just turned 17, so it's kind of special to me in that regard. And then I happened upon this gem, Daft Punk's Discovery. It's a 180 gram vinyl, so sounds great. I actually just spun this morning while I was showering because I wanted to listen to a little bit of Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger. A friend got me this next record around the time when Sia's Chandelier was going super viral. They had remembered that I said that I thought that she was pretty cool, so they just got me 1,000 Forms of Fear. It's a super good album. Sia's a super cool person, and she's a really good singer, and everything about the artistry of the album makes me really happy. Next up is the only picture disc that I currently own. I got this for my 18th birthday, Imagine Dragons and Night Vision. Side A is kind of the front cover, and then side B would be the back cover of the album. However, this little thing that it came in is kind of falling apart, so I should probably get an actual sleeve for it sometime soon. I think it was limited print of some kind, I don't really remember. The first colored record that I ever bought was Hit the Lights by Invicta. It's this really beautiful, like, solid cherry red color. And then this is when I started realizing that colored vinyls were cool. So I picked up The Lost and Broken Bones by this foreign band called Useless ID. It's this kind of like see-through blood red, which is actually a really popular color for records, and we'll see some more of that later. And then I have probably one of the coolest looking records I own. It's this marbled, like, green, gray, and blue. It kind of just looks brown when it's spinning, but looking at it while it's still, it's just a beautiful album. and it's Civilian War by Nightmares for a Week. They're a smaller band that I would definitely recommend. And then, because I'm a huge musical stan, I of course had to pick up the entire motion picture soundtrack from the Rocky Horror Picture Show, which is, again, on this kind of like translucent red album. Up next we have two of my favorite albums of all time. Whenever I moved out of this house for about 6 months and I was living on my own, I was going through a little bit of a tough time emotionally for me, so I picked up Bon Iver's For Emma Forever Ago. It's one of my favorite albums to just kind of sit down and listen to, and it's gotten me through some stuff in my life, so thanks, Bon Iver. And then we've got Neutral Milk Hotel's In the Aeroplane Over the Sea. Of course, they're most famous for the titular song on this album, and yes, her head is a tambourine. Thank you for noticing. It's another one of those albums that if you listen to it, you should listen to it in order all the way through. Like, make sure you just have the time to kind of just experience it. It's an experience kind of album. Up next we have the last of the like single albums that I have from artists. It's Pentatonix's self-titled album. It's an Amazon exclusive as of right now, and I think maybe forever. Like, from a design aspect, this album is one of my favorite things of all time. And I know Pentatonix is like too popular or whatever, but I think they're really cool. Shut up. Now I'm gonna show you some of my kind of like compilations and collections. These are some of my favorite bands of all time. There are, of course, some bands that I absolutely love that I don't have vinyls for because they're just very expensive. However, these are some more of my favorite albums of all time by some of my favorite people of all time. We're gonna start out with Owl City. I've been following Adam Young ever since I was like 10, and then Fireflies blew up, and that was kind of the first time I saw an artist that I liked a lot get big, so that was a really cool moment for me. This is my favorite 7-inch vinyl that I have. It's just a collection of 2 singles. It's Fireflies on side 1 and Vanilla Twilight on side 2. And then we of course have the absolutely visually stunning Ocean Eyes. I really like this white and blue aesthetic that the entire album has going on. And then the other Adam Young album that I have is the Midsummer Station, which is this really cool kind of Coke bottle clear, mint green translucent vinyl. Next up we have my current favorite band, which is The World is a Beautiful Place and I Am No Longer Afraid to Die. The first release that I have of theirs is called Whenever If Ever, and this is the 7th pressing, and there were 1,000 made, just like the first 6 pressings, which are all sold out. The next one that I have here is the UK release of their Between Bodies EP. This record is half black, half clear. There were only 100 of these made, and I'm very glad that I own one. And the most recent release that I have of theirs is their most recent studio album, which is entitled Harmlessness. I actually picked this up at a show that I went to in Dallas, Texas, and this is, without a doubt, my favorite set of albums that I own, and the only complete set that I have in vinyl form. This is the first studio album released by Fall Out Boy, which is entitled Take This to Your Grave. Fun fact, this is the most expensive album that I currently own, and I will not tell you how much money I paid for it because it's kind of embarrassing. Next up is their second studio album entitled From Under the Cork Tree. It's on this absolutely beautiful, like, marbled maroon kind of disc, and even though it's not the first pressing, it's definitely the favorite look of mine, I suppose. Like, the other ones look cool, but this one I think looks the coolest. Their next album is entitled Infinity on High. This is the Hot Topic exclusive version. There are 1,500 of these pressed. Each one of them is actually, like, unique. No matter which way you turn them, they still look kind of different, so that's really cool. Next up is probably my favorite album from an aesthetic design point of all time. This is their 4th studio album entitled Folie à Deux. This is the first pressing of it with 1 translucent red and 1 translucent gold. And if you look on the back, all of the song titles are backwards. So you have to like look in a mirror or use Snapchat or something to be able to read the titles of the songs correctly. Everything about the design of this album makes me want to cry. Next up is the only 10-inch record that I own, and it's their 5th studio album, their comeback album, Save Rock and Roll, the infamous picture of the 2 brothers on the front, and then you have the two 10-inch vinyls that have the new Fall Out Boy symbol on them. And I got this at a show as well. And last but not least is their most recent studio release, entitled American Beauty, American Psycho. And I have the ice blue version of the album, which I believe was the second pressing. So that is my absolute and complete collection of vinyls. I know I may not have quite as many as some people, and you might not think that this video was as cool as I probably think it is. But I really do appreciate all of you just listening to me and geeking out with music about me and taking a look at what makes me happy. So that's gonna be it for today, and I will see you guys next time. Bye. Getting all of these back into alphabetical order is going to be the literal worst thing I've ever done. And also, this only fits in like the way it's supposed to. It doesn't fit in the way it's not supposed to. So I couldn't do what I did with Folie à Dieu. Oh no, I had to put it back in correctly because I am an audiophile. The first colored record that I ever bought was, shit.